And joining us now is Caleb Saylor's Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News.
Love that jingle.
All right, welcome, Caleb.
What's going on, Gerard? You doing all right today?
I'm doing great. So give us an update on this escapee situation just north of our position here in Gluckstadt, Mississippi, central Madison County.
So, multi-agency search ongoing for Joseph Spring. He escaped from the Hinds County Detention Center over the weekend, and they have not been able to find him until today. They located, Madison police started a chase this morning. They located a black Honda that was believed to be stolen, and the person in the vehicle matched the description of Spring. Well, police led a pursuit into Gluckstadt. They crashed the vehicle. There was another occupant in the vehicle that police ended up catching, but they have not caught Spring, and they have canines on the scene. They've got an area, kind of a perimeter set up around a wooded portion of Gluckstadt where they believe Spring to be. So going back into the story, so that's what's going on right now. That's the latest update, is they're still looking for Spring. He escaped over the weekend. On Monday, he escaped with Michael Lewis, another person who was another inmate. Well, they caught Lewis on Monday, put him back in prison, and on Wednesday, people believe Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones reported that there was a reported sighting of Spring in the Raymond area. And so there was a multi-agency search for this guy on Wednesday. They ended up calling it off because they couldn't find him. They had helicopters out, canines, everything, the whole kit and caboodle trying to find this guy. Couldn't find him. And now here we are today. This guy must be the craftiest person on earth because they keep trying to get reported sightings of him. One of someone that called a tip into the sheriff, and then today an officer was located him in a vehicle, but they can't catch him. They can't find him. So hopefully they're able to get this guy behind bars again. And we've got 2 additional arrests have been made in connection to this case. 45-year-old Michael Lynn Allen was arrested yesterday in Raymond for aiding and abetting an accessory.
That's at the detention center, right?
He was not at the detention center, no. And then 36-year-old Casey Knight was arrested in Jackson yesterday, too, for accessory, aiding and abetting. So these people were helping him after he escaped jail.
Okay, I got you.
And so they're making arrests of everybody in connection to this guy. They just haven't caught Spring himself.
Well, so have there been any statements from the folks at the detention center that said, how'd he get out? Because have you ever been to that place, seen it?
Yeah, the Raymond Detention Center. Well, we've had multiple escapees this year. They believe he escaped through the air ducts.
I think you can just walk in and out of the place. I think one of the supervisors of Hinds County, if I'm not mistaken,
Marshawn Chrysler,
said, the doors don't really lock or something to that effect. I think maybe David Archie said something to that effect. We have to look that up. But, yeah, it's He said, David Archie said he'd spend the night there, too, if he needed to, just to make sure that no one escaped. But that's Supervisor David Archie, by the way.
Correct.
So, yeah.
So on Monday, Tyree Jones said they discovered a breach in the fence line of the jail, and then during the head count, they noticed that Spring and the other escapee were gone. And so now here we are, trying to locate the guy in Gluckstadt. Madison Police, Gluckstadt Police. I'm sure every police agency is on the scene at this point, but hopefully they can get him. Hopefully they can get him, and that's where we are with that.
Okay.
Another big story we had yesterday, and our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the officer involved that was killed yesterday in a standoff between police and 22-year-old Gabriel Matthew Wilson. So it's reported by Brandon police that Wilson broke into, they say, his ex-girlfriend's home and held her and another female hostage. Well, police, when they arrived at the scene, the other female, or one of them, escaped, got out of the house, and he kept the other that was in the house, kept her hostage. Well, the subject, Wilson, opened fire around 6 a.m., struck a Brandon police officer who was taken to UMC, is expected to make a full recovery. He's doing okay. And later on, officers try to negotiate. They say, hey, let's figure this out. Let's not get anybody else hurt. Let's get this hostage out of the house. So he ended up letting the other hostage go. And then a little later, gunfire started again between him and police, and he struck Madison police officer, former Ridgeland police chief Randy Tyler, and killed him. But the subject was killed in the crossfire as well, though. So you had one injured and 2 dead in the situation. But you had law enforcement from pretty much everywhere in the central Mississippi area on the scene. You had a SWAT team there, and they tried to negotiate with him, but this guy was hostile. He had media's reported that he was basically coming out of the house, making it known that he was ready for a fight.
Man,
yeah,
unbelievable.
He had nefarious intentions. Definitely, I don't know. We haven't seen the autopsy, so I don't know if he was on anything or what he had taken prior to the situation. But you could tell the guy was not in the right frame of mind. But Madison, the city of Madison, has lowered their flags to half-mast in honor of the former police officer who lost his life yesterday. It's just such a sad situation.
Terrible.
It's always sad to lose anybody in the line of duty, especially someone who was courageous and willing to put his life on the line to protect other people. But just one of those things you hate to see.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Some sort of internal domestic squabble, right? But what's being reported. Tell us about the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss playing baseball over in Auburn.
Thankfully, this is good news. Southern Miss will be taking on Samford today in the Auburn Regional. Kendall Rogers with D1 Baseball is predicting the Golden Eagles to go to Omaha. 2 seasons ago, Mississippi State won it all. Last year, Ole Miss won it all. So hopefully Southern Miss is next in line to keep the Mississippi lineage of winning national champions going. But we've got a good pitchers duel today. Many people may not know this, but Samford is pitching Jacob Cravey, who was a second-team All-American pitcher from collegiate baseball. Well, he's going up against a familiar name for us in Mississippi, and Tanner Hall, who, like you called him earlier, Rubber Arm. Tanner Hall is first-team All-American pitcher. He posted a 12-3 record on the season, a 2.24 ERA, and has been awesome. He won all sorts of conference honors. He was pitcher of the year in the Sun Belt, and anybody that watches baseball in Mississippi knows how good Tanner Hall is. They'll face off at 1 p.m. today in Auburn.
Yeah. I think the Golden Eagles will take that game, and then they got a good shot. Could come down to them. Don't want to look ahead. Could come down to them and the Tigers of Auburn, and we'll see where that goes. And I'd love to see them advance out of there and move on to a Super.
It kind of reminds me of 2 seasons ago when Southern Miss, unfortunately for them, had to travel to Oxford and take on Ole Miss. And Ole Miss ended up winning that regional and losing to Arizona in the Supers, but it went to Monday. It went to the very last game. Both teams had an opportunity to do it. And I think if Southern Miss, Tanner Hall, the last time he pitched a complete game against Troy, went all 9 innings. And if he can give them a modicum of that today, just preserve the bullpen, preserve some of their arms that they'll need through this series. Playing against an SEC team is tough. If they're trying to get to Auburn, you're going to have all hands on deck, and you're going to have your pitching stable ready.
They could do it. I think if Tanner has a good outing today and they don't have to bring somebody in, they're in good shape.
Absolutely. And they've got plenty of veteran bats, too. I mean, they've got Danny Lynch, Christopher Sargent, Carson Pato. They've got guys that are, that have been in the postseason, that have been in this position before. I mean, they took down LSU at home last year, and the team they lost to last year is the defending national champion. So I think they've got plenty of experience. Scott Berry, this is his farewell tour, so I think he's going to try to go out with a bang as well. I think Southern Miss comes out of this regional on top.
Yeah, I do too. I like it. Have you seen this story about the federal government ordering desegregation in Mississippi schools? Yeah, this is just hot off the press. Desegregation in 32 Mississippi school districts. This is kind of bizarre, but it's a U.S. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division spoke to a small group of residents in Holmes County yesterday, and now they don't mention the districts, or at least if they did, I didn't see a list of the districts, but 32 districts, and I don't know what that's all about.
I thought the federal government already desegregated schools in 1965.
They're saying that we're not in conformance with that. So I don't know what they mean specifically. They're looking into whether or not the schools, after 50 years, in fact, is what they say, of litigation, whether or not that we're operating consistent with that. So it's kind of a weird deal, but there's sketchy details on it. They're also looking at the Mississippi State Penitentiary. I mean, I don't think that's anything new in Parchment. and a couple of other of our correctional facilities to see if we're in conformance with federal law from a civil rights perspective there.
There's always something going on at Parchman.
I know.
Always something with Parchman.
Sounds like we're a target in that respect. Appreciate the update there.
Absolutely.
Caleb, really do, and you have a great weekend, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you, Gerard. Good to be on.
Absolutely. Caleb Sailors, a multimedia journalist with SuperTalk Mississippi News, has been bringing you this update from across the great state of Mississippi. We're stepping aside for a break right here with Johnny Nash bumping us out, coming right back in the Element Wealth studio.